Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of BS in the US. It's October 3rd, 2010. I'm probably going to get arrested tonight.
And I'm GS Danny. Thank you for watching. We have lots of news for you today.
In our first story, a New York native killed himself last week after writing a 1,905-page suicide note. Mitchell Heisman, age 35, quotes several names as he explained why he killed himself in this lengthy note. The note was published online and asked to be kept up after his death so that others could access it to know his feelings about life and the universe. He wrote, quote, "I propose opening your mind towards the liberation of death, towards exposing the blind faith of life as a myth, a bias, and an error." End quote. Heisman arranged for delayed emails to be sent to about 400 of his friends with a link to the essay before he shot himself in the head at Memorial Church in the Harvard Yard in front of 20 people touring the campus last Saturday. Heisman graduated from the University of Albany with a BA in psychology. Very tragic story.
Very tragic. What would lead him to do something like that?
I don't know.
I mean, why do people think... Why does he think that people would care enough about him to read a 1,905-page, not letter, page, suicide note? I mean, why would you do that?
I just don't know why he'd give himself homework before he killed himself.
Well, he does have a bachelor's in psychology. Maybe he was doing a psychological experiment on himself.
It's always possible.
It is always possible. Also in New York news this week, all street signs in New York City, which is about 250,000 of them, I'm on this camera, 250,000 of them are being replaced by 2018 as mandated by a new law, changing the signs from all caps to a mix of uppercase and lowercase lettering, allowing drivers to read the sign faster and focus more on the road. They're also reflective more so you can see them at night. They each cost about $110. So for 250,000 street signs, New York City would spend approximately $27.5 million in the coming years on this project. But every year they replace a couple hundred street signs from those that are broken naturally, that are stolen and things like that. So 250,000 signs is quite a bit, if you ask me. And New York's gonna have to find $27.5 million to cover this project. And one of the experts said that the human brain would only read the sign like a quarter of a second faster or something like that. So it's a small change. And do you think that street signs with a mix are easier to read or harder to read?
I actually find it a little bit more difficult to read.
And why is that?
Well, have you ever tried to read someone's status on Facebook and they have varying letters?
This is true. You know, maybe this project got started by a grammar Nazi.
It's possible.
It is entirely possible. And in international news today, Osama bin Laden released an audio tape yesterday expressing worry over climate change, as well as urging Muslim governments to do more about Pakistan flood victims. This is quite a change from the guy who just blew up 2 buildings about 9 years ago now? Tragedy of 9/11?
9/11, 9 years ago.
Everyone still prays for those who were lost on that day. And we still haven't caught this guy. And but now he's going over climate change. Many believe bin Laden is playing the good terrorist, bad terrorist. Oh, we're still on... Okay, we're on this camera now. Many believe he's doing the good terrorist, bad terrorist thing. But there have also been reports that this guy's been dead for years, but no one knows. So nobody knows, really.
It's an issue.
It is an issue.
These are all issues from BS in the US.
We are on the air because we care.
We care, so we're on the air. We're going to take a quick commercial break.
We'll be right back after these quick messages and more news from the studio. You're watching BS in the US. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to BS in the US. This just in, an old woman has no regrets about shooting a 12-year-old boy. Margaret Matthews, age 68, claimed she was harassed for a year by the young man, and him hitting her in the chest with the brick was the last straw. Authorities say Matthews got home from work last Tuesday and found some windows in her house broken. When the boy and his 13-year-old friend ran away, she called the police. Upon returning, the boy stood on her shed and cursed her out and began throwing bricks at her, and then she came out blazing. Matthews grabbed a gun and fired at them, hitting the 12-year-old boy in the shoulder. The boy's grandmother, Donna Vergis, however, says that the boys were just walking down the street and they saw the window was broken. The boy now faces a misdemeanor, while Matthews has not been charged with a crime. That's epic.
That is epic. In the state of Florida, there's a law that if you believe that, if there's somebody trespassing on your property and you believe that they are a threat to you or your property, you are allowed by law to, fire on them.
Right.
But in the case of a 12-year-old boy, yeah, they're stupid as hell. But do you shoot at them or what do you do? But 68-year-old woman, I don't think the police are going to put her in jail.
No. She may get a slap on the wrist.
Slap on the wrist. And he's getting a misdemeanor.
He gets a misdemeanor. Don't throw bricks, children.
And on a topic that is nowhere near related to Margaret Matthews, Tiger Woods may be a tiger with all the ladies except for his now ex-wife, but he sure isn't on the greens anymore. Lee Westwood and Luke Donald were giving Woods a decent beating at the Ryder Cup in Europe. They were 4 strokes ahead of him through 9 holes. Rain delayed the match and won't be completed until Monday when this broadcast is aired. In the third session, America only won 4 of the 39 holes. It doesn't take an MIT education or a Harvard education to know that sucks. And,
I see what you did there, Harvard education.
Yeah, because, those people are smart.
Yeah.
Them some smart people.
They has the brains.
And it's a trap! I'd say it's a trap because it's related to Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
Star Wars, including all 6 movies, are being remastered in 3D and will be released sometime in 2012, beginning with Episode 1, when little Anakin flies a rocket-powered grocery cart through a desert and robots take over the planet. Assuming the world doesn't end by 2012 and that people haven't revolted against a barrage of so-so 3D movies being released these days, it might be worth watching. On a somewhat related note, scientists have found an Earth-like planet with a catchy name like Gliese 581G. It's no wonder that users have searched for this news story online with only using new planet as their search criteria. Searches for that are now up over 7,200% this week alone. How crazy would it be if they found another planet just like Earth, in which we could live, except it's, I believe they said it was 10 light years away, so it'd take a few minutes to get there.
Real estate would go up there.
I wouldn't mind living on another planet.
Oh, yeah?
No.
Why not?
We're not going to go there.
Okay. I understand. Anyways, speaking of idiots, this week's Idiot of the Week award goes to a greedy jackass. Back in 2000, radio station Star 93.5, then known as 93 Rock, the Quad City Rocker, ran a contest to see who would have their call letters and logo tattooed on their foreheads. Those who did would receive a payout. Meet Jonathan Winkleman, a 48-year-old man living in Iowa, who was listening that day and decided that he would try to win the contest. He and his equally gullible stepson, Richard Goddard, went to the local tattoo parlor and both got the tattoos placed upon their heads. When they reached the station to collect their cash, the station revealed a horrible truth. There was no prize payout, and the contest itself was a practical joke. Last Thursday, Winkleman was arrested, and his mugshot, along with the brand on his forehead, have been circulating the interwebs.
That's pretty humorous. I mean, the things that people do these days, it makes you wonder, why would you do that?
Well, we don't even care why he did that. The reason that he did that is why he is the Idiot of the Week.
And he wins our Idiot of the Week award here at BS in the US. I'm kind of curious about why he got arrested. Maybe I'll do some research on Google later to find out. We recommend Google as your default search engine, even though they're not endorsing us, nor do we get money for saying that you should use Google. Google is awesome.
Google is epic.
In fact, if you're using Google to find a car, be sure to avoid four different automakers. Pick a camera. Okay. Be sure to avoid 4 different automakers: Pontiac, Mercury, Saturn, and the obvious one, Hummer. Those 4 companies have gone under and won't be offering a 2011 lineup, along with the other major automotive contenders. It's not a surprise that Hummer went out of business, as the insanely high price and insanely low mileage makes no sense whatsoever, even to the stupid people who waste money on anything that's shiny, has buttons, or costs more than $100. And as I said that, our board director just pointed at me. I guess I fall into that category. Although they are pretty cool. But not $60,000 cool. The plastic body satin cars are finally done with as well. Mercury, founded by Henry Ford's son, has a 2011 lineup of 3 cars. They pretty much take after Ford's designs with a lamer looking logo on it.
Well, that's all we have today for BS in the US. I forgot my name again.
And yeah, so there we go. And so that's all the news we have for you today at BS in the US. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next week. We're working on new intro and credits for our show, so you don't get bored and lose attention like you have ADHD.
Right.
But we'll get it eventually.
Have a good evening.
Have a good evening, and once again, thanks for watching BS in the US. We'll see you next week. Good night.
This was a great show.
It was a great show.
I believe we
I wasn't really asking you, but it was a great show.
We really, whoa.
Yeah, I totally went there, man. Right. Escape.